pity.
Such a familiar presence in the city of the Tri-State area. Thank you, Jonathan Dees. In the next hour, a vote will be held on a potential strike involving tens of thousands of residential building workers. Many of those who work the doors of these buildings, the supers, the porters across the city, could walk off the job. Newswatch Gus Rosendale on the Upper East Side with what we know at this hour, Gus.
Well, David, I'm at a union rally here at 79th and Park, and as you mentioned, the union rep tells me they're expecting a strike authorization vote to happen at this rally at around 5 o'clock, and that's a move that could determine the fate of a whole lot of workers in this city. We are talking about 34,000 doormen, cleaners, supers, and other service workers. According to the union SCIU, this is at 600,000 apartments on all boroughs of the city except the Bronx, home to about 1.5 million New Yorkers. About a billion New Yorkers who get stuck doing things like securing their own building or taking out the trash and making repairs. Now, the union tells me they're pushing for better wages and working conditions. Meantime, the Realty Advisory Board that represents the landlords is asking those workers to pay more for their health insurance, and also the union, the landlords want a lower pay scale for certain newer workers. Time of these negotiations is running out. A strike could start. I emphasize could start next week.
You know, we went through it 4 years ago, getting pennies, 20 cents to 30 cents another year. It's not enough. Right now, we aren't even close to bargaining. We're nowhere on wages. We're on health insurance. They're trying to make our members pay more for health insurance. When we're trying to make sure our members can afford to live in the city. So we're going in the opposite direction.
Now, this seems familiar. That's because the strike was narrowly avoided on these very same issues about 4 years ago. The last strike of this kind in New York City was back in 1991. That was for 12 days. And the current contract expires on Monday, on Tuesday. At this point, we're waiting for a strike authorization vote being held at this rally here at 79th Park. Of course, we'll bring you the latest as soon as we hear. Bring live on the Upper East Side. I'm Gus Rosendale. News for New York.
Okay, Gus, thanks for getting us up to speed. Let's go to Brooklyn now, where the NYPD says it has dismantled two rival gangs out of Brownsville. They say the alleged members were involved in dozens of shootings, which involved 11 victims. One was killed. Investigators say the online beefs turned into real-life, deadly violence. News 4's Pacey Chang has this story.
Police in the Brooklyn DA saying they arrested 36 people and they're waiting to arrest one more, members of the Woo and the Cho gangs. The DA saying innocent people were caught in their crossfire, including a 69-year-old man who was simply taking out the trash. Shots fired at a playground in the middle of the day. Children ducked to avoid being hit. And take a look at this video, a shootout in a Brooklyn apartment complex. Brooklyn prosecutors say that gun violence comes from crossfire between rival gangs. 36 shootings total.
In those 36 shooting incidents, there were 11 people shot, 10 were shot and had non-fatal injuries, but one person did succumb to his injury.
The Brooklyn DA and NYPD announcing dozens of arrests today involving the Woo and the Cho gangs, who, according to prosecutors, have been targeting each other for years, hitting innocent people along the way.
12 times bullets entered into someone's home. Sometimes they were on the 4th floor, the 6th floor. It didn't matter, they were not safe from this violence.
The Brooklyn DA says the gangs in many instances report their crimes, like this gang assault happening right in downtown Brooklyn near the courthouse. The shootouts happened in public spaces like barber shops and even the subway. The arrests came after a 3-year investigation and netted dozens of illegal weapons.
The NYPD took 36 illegal firearms off of our streets, including a 9mm ghost gun, part of the over 1,300 firearms our officers have removed so far this year.
All the defendants were arraigned on various charges, including conspiracy, murder, attempted murder, as well as weapons charges. 4 of the defendants are as young as 16. In downtown Brooklyn, Pacey Chang, News 4, New York.
Updating the war in the Middle East, Iran's armed forces are threatening to block shipping from the Persian Gulf, the Sea of Oman, and the Red Sea if the U.S. continues its blockade. U.S. military said overnight its blockade of Iranian ports has been fully implemented, but the U.S. forces have completely halted economic trade going into the Gulf of Oman by sea. First 24 hours of the blockade, American warships issued warnings to 6 ships, prompting them to turn around. The White House said today that conversations with Iran are productive and ongoing.
Well, today is tax day, and like it or not, the taxes are due unless you file an extension. Taxes have to be e-filed or postmarked by 11:59 tonight. If you believe you're getting a refund, you might want to e-file because the paper returns will take significantly longer.
And a shift that surprised many, Governor Hochul is standing behind a new proposal to tax the ultra-wealthy, specifically those who own multiple homes in the state. It's being called a pied-à-terre tax. News Source Andrew Sitt live in Midtown to explain how it would work. Andrew?
Right, David, we're talking about thousands of apartments in New York City's wealthiest zip codes. The folks who own what are known as pied-à-terres, that sort of second apartment that they happen to have in the city but don't really use. Well, the governor and the mayor would like those folks to pay more. Shot before, up above a penthouse apartment that was sold a few years back for more than $200 million. The owner, according to elected officials, is hardly ever here.
They're part of our skyline, but those people are not part of our city.
So today, Governor Kathy Hochul proposed a new way to get money from homeowners who don't live here.
I am proposing a common sense surcharge on high-value second homes in New York City.
She called it a surcharge, but Mayor Mamdani called it a tax.
This is a tax on properties worth more than $5 million that are owned by people with numbers I in New York City.
Both leaders supporting the new pied-à-terre tax. That's the French term for foot on the ground that typically means a place you own but don't live. State lawmakers would have to approve the idea, impacting 13,000 homes in New York City valued at $5 million and above, apartments that are not owner-occupied.
If an owner lives there full-time, or rents it out to a full-time tenant, the surcharge will not apply.
And the locals are other opponent against the governor's race. The new tax would clarify as wealthy apartment owners in the town come to it.
They're going to take their money someplace else. And that means some carpenter's not going to get a job. Some plumber's not going to get a job. The restaurants in the neighborhood are going to lose business.
Hochul says the extra revenue is needed to help the city close a $5 billion budget gap. And some New Yorkers seem to embrace the idea of out-of-town owners paying more.
I think they should pay taxes to the city of New York. They're using our services, police department, fire, and walking on our sidewalks, why should they pay?
You get full funding from pied-à-terre. I mean, you can afford 5.3 million for a pied-à-terre, right?
Now, the idea of a pied-à-terre tax has been floated before, most recently in 2019, but it didn't pass up in Albany, and that's where we stand now. The state budget is already a couple of weeks late. It'll be up to state lawmakers. Will they include this new surcharge in the state budget? We're live in Midtown on Central Park South. Andrew Sitt.
Andrew, thank you. In Connecticut, a bill is making its way through legislation that could protect people in the state from ICE agents. The Senate Democrats pushed that bill through yesterday, which would designate churches, schools, and hospitals as protected areas. This would also allow people who live there to sue federal law enforcement in state court. Republicans, the last of the bill, say the state doesn't have the ability to tell ICE agents how to do their jobs. The bill is now headed to the House.
Bodega cats are in a spotlight in the city council today. Councilmember Frank Morano introduced the Bodega Cat Bill that would remove the city's ban on cats in retail food stores while establishing a framework to ensure their health and safety. The issue has been declined to the state legislature, too. In Albany, there's a proposal to establish an official statewide care standard for cats that live in retail stores.
Okay, you might want to lie down for this one legally because starting next month, you can book an Air New Zealand flight with sleeping accommodations, and we're talking about lying down flat in buckheads. It's for the 16 to 18-hour flights to and from New York City and Auckland. Now, the airline will debut a new Boeing 787 this fall. It is furnished with 6 beds located in between economy and premium cabins. You can book 2-hour sleeping sessions for around $500. That's in addition, though, to the airfare, which typically starts around $1,700. Again, you can book the beds starting May 18th, but the new flights won't take off until November.
Billy Crystal's going back on Broadway this fall in a heartfelt one-man show. The show, written by the Tony and Emmy winner, is called 860. And that's the street number address for the home he and his family lived in for 46 years. It was destroyed in the LA wildfires last year. Crystal spoke about his new show with Stephen Colbert.
This show really takes place in the house that was, and it's all the funny stories and touching stories that have happened to us in that time.
816 opens for previews in October, and will play a strictly limited 12-week engagement.
Well, for many of us, it felt like a long winter, a chilly spring. Today, though, we're breaking heat records. Causing folks to hit the beach. We spotted this one person getting in the very chilly water in New Jersey. Let's get out to News 4's Charles Watson live at Point Pleasant Beach. How's it looking? Beautiful from what I can see, Charles.
Yeah, it's nice, Natalie. And, you know, we actually saw a couple of people jump in the water today, although I would recommend it because people will say just yet. Despite that, people here are making the most of the weather and enjoying the boardwalk and the beach as they get a little taste of summer.
Point Pleasant Beach giving all the summer feels as scores of people flock to the beach to take in the sun and summer-like weather.
I said that I'm going to take a personal day. We're going to do a girls' day and took the day off of work.
Alyssa Wygon says as soon as she saw temperatures would soar to the 80s, she and her girls knew the only place they wanted to be today was in the chair on the beach.
It is, like, mini lot. I love the beach, so it's great. I'm happy to be here.
From the looks of all the other people who hit the beach to play a little football or bathe in the sun's rays, the idea of an April beach day was just too hard to miss out on. Even if it meant plunging yourself in chilly ocean water like Eileen Absalom.
I was here like 10, and it was cold. That's brick. That's cold. So yeah, I was like, you know what, full of sweater out. I'm gonna try to dip my whole head, and that's what I did.
On the boardwalk, shops like Chippies preparing summer favorites like this cool cup of lemonade to keep people cool. Winner Jim Miller says it's a treat of sorts for them because days like this come far and few between as they wait for the summer season.
Anytime we get this weather, we're out of it. It's just a bonus. You know, people think that, you know, it'll make up. It doesn't really work like that. You know, you have good days and make up for bad days. It's just kind of a bonus. So when you get a nice day this early,
I would say.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Sixers won't be sticking around for too much longer because we're only about a month away.
I wouldn't say that.
The Memorial Day weekend, which, as we know, is the unofficial start to the summer season, certainly here at the shore. But now we're live at Point Pleasant Beach. Charles Watson, News 4 New York.
Well, Charles, you know we affectionately call you Cool Breeze.
Yes.
And right there now, they can use a Cool Breeze.
That's exactly right. Now, I gotta tell you know, I'm in the department of do as I say, not as I do. I mean, it's almost 90 degrees, Charles. What are we doing with that sports jacket?
I have a good point. Look, so it is really, really hot inland. When you walk up on the boardwalk, though, there's been a breeze all day. Unfortunately, that the sun is beaming down right now.
And so
it's the hottest it's been all day.
No, I mean, we're great, Charles. And so the audience understands that we gave him that nickname because he's cool in any situation.
Without a doubt. And today, no exception. You know, it's 80 something. He looks right over it. There's oil bubbling on the sidewalks right now, and I saw Cool Breeze. Let's walk on over to the water wall, everybody, and go out to Point Pleasant Beach. Charles, looking at the coastline right now, which looks delightful. And there, as Charles was mentioning, we got the folks who got the memo. We give a little bit of a
I'm way too full.
at this point, and a little bit of gray sky. Mixed in with that sunshine. We're at 87 there. We are at 88 here in the city. In Point Pleasant Beach, a wind out of the south
I can't
southwest at
finish it.
5 miles per hour. High temperatures today broke a record in Central Park. Broke a record at LaGuardia. Set back all the way in 1941. Didn't quite do it at JFK. That makes sense. Remember the influence of the Atlantic, cooling things a little as you head out to the east. Newark Airport broke a record back to 1960. Iceland broke a record. Bridgeport broke a record at Poughkeepsie, just 2 degrees shy. And we have the official numbers in yet. So stand by for that in the next half hour. Temperatures outside right now, 91 in Union, 90 in Elizabeth. Summit, I'm going to check that because I do not believe it's 99 degrees in Summit. 88 in Passaic, 89 in Fairlawn, and 88 87 in Belrose. You need to know this. If you're inland, it is hot. If you're east, you have moderating conditions. 70 in Montauk, 71 in East Hampton, Orland at 74. You work your way in, you have some 80s in there, but it's lovely out on the island. 76 in Bridgeport, live radar right now. We are picking up some isolated small showers pushing their way into Connecticut right now. Let's zoom on in and take a look. There's Bedford right now, and they're right over the border, working their way in. And as you travel, let's say Route 7, I think, towards Weston, you may run into some wet roads. And again, 684, same story. More of these isolated pop-up showers, maybe even a thunderstorm could be part of this evening with some localized strong gusty winds. Hour by hour, let's take you through the rest of the evening. This is what we're talking about, 9 o'clock tonight, again, just as an illustration. And into Thursday, we may see more of that pushing on through. Another day of warm temperatures. In fact, we'll carry the warmth right into the end of the work week. So a couple of showers tonight, 70 degrees, 88 tomorrow, and inland temperatures well into the 90s. Look at that. 3-day high numbers down to 80 by Friday. A gorgeous Saturday. I think we get some rain on Sunday and some cooler numbers in the picture. 58 is what we'll top it off at. And you can see even cooler than that out to the east and up to the north and over to the northwest, where Sunday will only be 47 in Monticello. So very, very chilly. And then as we head into next week, we return closer to our average conditions. We should be at about 62 for this time of the year. Here's a quick look at the 10-day forecast with all the icons. You can see not a bad run into next week, just back to, spring, not the heart of summer. Back to you. Yeah, that's nice, Dave. Thank you. Still ahead off the tracks. The work's still underway 24 hours after a train derailment in New Jersey.
By some pregnant debate, how jackpots grow even bigger. And this.
Another bike lane battle in the city, this one on the Upper West Side. I ran into a meeting with the redesign plan and some worry it could put them out of business.
It won't be hard to find someone to fix this. But before I started Angie's List, different story. A lot has changed for us at Angie since then, but the issues facing homeowners are the same. And the solution too, skilled local pros.
Angie, trust the find the ones you trust. Get up to $300 in savings on a set of 4 eligible tires during our spring tire spectacular.
I think the perfect tire for the customer is the one that the customer truly needs.
Roll it out of your car. Firestone complete on repair.
Who's done my
Not a cherry.